Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Brendan, and I hope all of you guys are having a great day no matter where you are from. And welcome back to another episode of Crypto News, where we go over everything that's happening in the markets from the chart to the news, and we explain it into digestible sections that everyone can understand. Of course, as we speak right now, cryptocurrency is rebounding very sharply. There's a lot of buying pressure, a lot of green candles coming in, and most cryptocurrencies are green anywhere from 8 to 12% across the board right now. Altcoins are certainly performing very, very well, and I want to go over a few of the outliers and the cause behind all of this. And of course, after we talk about some of the charts, there is a lot of news to go over. Here are just a couple of the articles that we're going to be looking at, and even going to be speaking on what's happening in Ukraine and how that has affected the world of cryptocurrency. So if you are excited, this is going to be your one-stop shop for, again, everything crypto related. Welcome to the channel if you are new. And let's go ahead and dive on in here, because I want to talk about this. As we look, cryptocurrency is rebounding already very, very sharply. From top to bottom over here, Bitcoin alone is up around 15%. If we want to measure out Ethereum is up, as we measure this, around 20% almost. And a lot of these other altcoins are rebounding just as well, if not better, than some of the larger caps. So as we scroll through here, on the day, Bitcoin's up around 9%, Ethereum's up around 10% on the day, and Terra Luna, actually one of the highest performing mainstream top 50 cryptos, up about 13% on the day, up there with Chainlink at 14%. And then, of course, Phantom's up almost 15.5%. So I don't really think there's any mainstream cryptos that are down today. The only kind of red ones that you may see is like the 0% up and downs from the stable coins, stuff like Pax Dollar and USDT and stuff like that. But any mainstream normal cryptocurrency that's not a stable coin is up anywhere from 8 to 12% on the normal, with a few outliers like Anchor that are up even more than that, pushing towards 20%. But I want to get into the news before we look at the chart just a little bit, and we'll actually save this one just for the last. But more good news coming out from the regulation sector. Brazil is moving to regulate cryptos to normalize them across their society. A couple of the key terms over here is that Brazil lawmakers are actually voting on a bill that will regulate the country's cryptocurrency market and define what virtual assets are and outline the responsibilities of crypto service providers. Now, this is ultimately a good thing. It will make it safer inside of the country for everyone to transact with cryptocurrency. Hopefully a lot less scams and a lot more guidelines that really highlight what is legal and what is not legal and how this can be done safely, and ultimately make it more accessible for everyone. Brazil is a fairly large, if not one of the largest countries in South America, so seeing this kind of regulation come is definitely going to be a good thing. From what I've read through here, there's really nothing negative that they're looking at. They're just looking to make it safer for the everyday citizen to be able to access cryptocurrency. So at the end of the day, I do like this kind of news, and along these lines, Ukraine's central bank suspends electronic cash transfers, bolstering the use case for crypto. Now, I'm not sure how true this is, but I was reading that Ukraine in the past couple of months has actually been transacting more cryptocurrency than their local fiat. I believe it's the hryvnia, which is insane when you think about it. Imagine if something like the United States was transacting more in Bitcoin and Ethereum and crypto than the actual US dollar. And that's what the rumor is about Ukraine, is that they're actually, and they have been transacting more in cryptos than their actual fiat. Now, before we get any deeper into the news, I want to go back to the chart and explain why cryptocurrency is bouncing at this specific point. We've shown some of these support lines for Bitcoin and the altcoin market as well. And I want to go over the total too, which is the representation of the entire altcoin market, or the entire cryptocurrency market cap, excluding Bitcoin. So I'm going to turn off our volume so we can see this just a little bit better. But the altcoin market has had a very consistent support line, and I've talked about this numerous amounts of times in the Crypt Nation chat. And what we have seen is that really since last February of 2021, we've used this 6 different times over the last 12 months. And what I was saying is, if there's anywhere for Bitcoin and really the entirety of the cryptocurrency market to bounce, especially altcoins, as we head back down here, we just used this as support in the middle of January. I would suspect that we would probably use this as support in February as well. And sure enough, we head down, we had a little bit of a piercing candle in a wick. We saw two different wicks touch this area, but ultimately both of the candle body closings were above this, and cryptocurrency is bouncing off of this area once again, especially the altcoin markets, which is something that I talked about in the video from 2 days ago. You know, cryptocurrency is seeing value and people are comfortable buying crypto at these levels, and that's what we're seeing. And this is an ultimate uptrend in saying that people are constantly comfortable buying cryptocurrency at a higher price and higher price over the last year, 2 years, very, very consistently. Now we're seeing this very clearly in the altcoin market, and the good news is that we're also seeing this in Bitcoin as well. So Bitcoin and the altcoins are very, I guess they're on the same page, you could say, because Bitcoin's seeing a very similar methodical uptrend movement where Bitcoin is seeing higher swing lows on higher swing lows and higher swing lows now 4 separate times upon 4 separate swings to the downside over the course of the last like 6 to 8 months. So when Bitcoin was rejecting these moving averages and we were looking for some area of support, this is another thing that I talked about in the Crypt Nation chat. I'll have a link to that in the description down below. But what we've seen is that when Bitcoin was getting rejected from these moving averages and heading back down, the idea was, okay, if there's gonna be a support anywhere, it's gonna be this line that we've already tested 3 separate times, and there's no reason that it can't hold up for a fourth. So if I'm watching for anything to happen here, I'm waiting to see whether we're gonna bounce or break one of these big support lines. And then, you know, history repeated itself, and Bitcoin did bounce once again. So when I'm looking at the overall trend of cryptocurrency, I think that the number one thing that I'm looking at is a range between 35,000 and 45,000, just seeing what happens with Bitcoin inside of this range. Is Bitcoin going to break resistance in the moving averages, or is it going to break support towards the downside? And then ultimately kind of making my decisions from there. But if you want to get my technical analysis far in advance and in way more detail, definitely consider joining the Crypt Nation. There's a link to that in the description down below. Again, I've gone over this stuff for, I think, weeks earlier. So if you want to get this and you like what I have from a technical analysis standpoint, it's going to be a place that I know you're going to enjoy. Ethereum as well, seeing a very similar methodical movement upwards, very, very similar to Bitcoin. Another higher swing low on Ethereum, because from its previous swing low, it was around $2,150. Excuse me, let me clarify that. It was just around 21.75, and this previous swing low was around 2,300. And so what we can see now is that Ethereum is also forming these higher swing lows, which is potentially a sign of reversal. Now, will this play out? Ethereum, much like Bitcoin and all of the altcoins, they're in a little bit of a range, so I am still watching all of them to see if those macro and those micro resistances are able to break. But let's get back into the news here, because there's still so much to talk about in this potential bear trap that we're seeing playing out. Now, this leads into a very popular idea that Bitcoin's inactive supply nears a new record, as over 60% of Bitcoin stays unspent in the last year. For those of you who don't know, there are 21 million Bitcoin in existence, and it can never grow beyond that. Now, since then, it's expected that at least a couple of those million Bitcoin have been lost, so maybe the actual Bitcoin that can be in supply might be closer to something like 17 or 16 million. Now, from that, there is a lot of Bitcoin that is inactive in cold wallets that people have no intention of spending anywhere near $50,000 or even $100,000, which takes even more Bitcoin off the market. The speculated number, and again, someone might have to fact check me on this, but the speculated number is that something only like 10 to 20% of Bitcoin is actually transactable or tradable for the everyday person, which would significantly lower the price, or excuse me, it would significantly lower how much Bitcoin is truly on the market. It may only be that a couple million Bitcoin are actually tradable for everyone. And for those of you who don't know, that wouldn't even be enough. Even if we had 21 million Bitcoin, even if we doubled that and said we had 42 million Bitcoin, that would still not be enough for every millionaire to have their own Bitcoin. There's over 56 million millionaires at the moment, and of this, each millionaire could not have even half of a Bitcoin. Most likely they couldn't even have a fraction of a Bitcoin if every millionaire wanted one. So this kind of makes you think, what does supply and demand look like for the future of crypto? And not only Bitcoin, but for all of cryptocurrency. If millionaires can't even get their hands on, if all the millionaires right now were to go and try to get their hands on Bitcoin, there wouldn't be enough for all of them to at least own one. So this is a very popular and cool idea. If you didn't know this and now you know this, it's something that I am constantly having in the back of my head and saying, all right, I want to make sure that I'm owning this stuff before really all the big dogs do. I think it's something like 4% of the world's population is owning cryptocurrency right now, and that might even be less than that. So what happens when it's 10, 20, 50% of the world? And I think ultimately we will get there one day. But to wrap up this video, SafeMoon's pump and dump lawsuit is now targeting members like Jake Paul, Soulja Boy, and others. This just goes to show that you really do have to be careful with what you associate your name with in cryptocurrency. There's been a lot of pump and dumps over the course of the last year or two from celebrities, both in the NFT world and in the crypto world, and this stuff is starting to get punished. A lot of people have been getting burned on this, and ultimately it is against the law to actively try to pump and dump something for your benefit and others' losses. So celebrities are now being targeted for this. There are lawsuits that are going out. Whether or not anything is going to happen from this, we're yet to find out. But there is certainly a lot happening in the space. Make sure you're safe out there. Make sure that you are staying aware. And of course, stay tuned here for everything crypto related. We have lots of news coming out around 2 to 3 times per week where we try to keep everyone updated on what is happening in the world of cryptocurrency. Now, before we go, we have a really cool conference coming up. It's called the DCS conference, where we're interviewing, I think it's like 20, 30, 40 different people in the space of crypto, leaders that are pioneering the way. So if you want to check out what the leaders of cryptocurrency think, we're talking the CEOs and the CTOs and these people who are actually working with governments on regulation, you're gonna want to see this. It's members like me and a couple of my coworkers that are interviewing these leaders in the industry to get what they truly believe is happening right now and what they think the rest of this year could look like. We talk about things like the metaverse and Web3 and NFTs and everything else that is happening in DeFi. So there's a lot of cool factors that we're talking about. If you want to join that, it's completely free. Just head down to the links in the description down below. We have some links down there where you can check it out and sign yourself up. That way you're able to see all of these interviews at the time that they are released from March 8th to March 10th. So hopefully you did find that interesting and you did find this video interesting. If you want to see more content like this, definitely make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, and we have a lot more content like this coming out very, very soon. But thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.